Hey, it's Amotik. One of the questions I get asked quite a lot from people is why I started my own label and what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of that, and maybe how my experiences has gone. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about it and maybe tell you what's really worked well for me. So the main reason I started was just over 5 years ago. I moved to Berlin, and at that time, although I was working in music, I was DJing and producing. I felt like at that time it was kind of coming to the end of the road for me. Like, I wasn't really inspired by music back then. Something just wasn't clicking with me. So it was a really good chance to kind of step back from the scene, take a breather. When we moved here, I felt really re-inspired again, just by going to clubs and meeting people, and it just felt like a really good opportunity for a new start. And at that point, I think I was making music again, and everything was feeling right and clicking into place. So it was a really good point for me to start this new project and to start the label at the same time. One of the really positive things about having your own label is that you have creative freedom over everything. Now that comes down to the artwork. You can control the direction of that, and you want to keep consistent with all your releases. Also the sound of your label. No one's going to be telling you that maybe your B2 doesn't fit with the rest of your EP, because that's always down to you. You have control over the release schedule, which is something I really struggled with in the past when I was releasing with a lot of different labels, because often you'll be waiting for 6 months for a release or a year. Sometimes you would get 2 releases from different labels in the same month. But when you have your own label, you can dictate this. And the great thing for me is that when I finished a record, like when I finished a new EP, 3 months later I can get it out in the shops. Like, there's no real kind of messing around. Like, when you're excited about music, you can get it out, and that's one of the best things for me. If you want to put out vinyl on your label, which I can thoroughly recommend, it is quite expensive, something to bear in mind, but it's also really nice to have a physical product that you can hold. Like, it's just unlike anything else, I think. So a couple of things to keep in mind if you're doing a vinyl label is mastering and distribution. It's good, I think, to get your own mastering engineer. I have a really good one, and we have a rapport. He understands my music and he knows when certain things need tweaking, so I can adjust things for him before he sends back the final master, which is really good and very important to have that relationship. Also, distribution is very important. I've been very lucky. My distributors, Triple Vision in the Netherlands, they guided me through the process a lot, because there is a lot to learn in this whole process about how everything works. And also, when you approach a distributor, I think a good friend of mine once told me that it's good to have like 3 records ready. So you're prepared, like you've got a year's worth of releases ready to go. I think a distributor will take you more seriously if you have a plan, rather than just, someone that just wants to put out a record for the sake of it. Like, it's good to have some good stability and planning within your label as well. So yeah, I would say get good mastering, and also find a good distributor and have a good plan. One thing that's good to keep in mind is it can take a little bit of time for people to notice you if you're starting a new label, especially if you're a new artist. So it's good to have a bit of patience and not have too many expectations. It's also not good to cut out working with lots of other labels, because I also do it. It's just where I only really work with labels that I have a relationship already with, and predominantly labels in Berlin as well. So it's just something else to think about. Yeah, just to wrap it up, just to explain that this is really just what I've experienced in this world, and it won't necessarily work for everyone, and maybe you have a better way to do it or just a different way to do it. So I just wanted to talk you through my experience, and I hope you found it useful.